Hello, my name is Florian. I am a clinical hypnotherapist and life coach. Um, I come from life. I used to suffer from child attachment disorder with all its implications. Was depressed, sometimes borderline depressed, in the later years, really depressed. Anxiety, stress, chronic stress, which is also called chronic survival mode. Um, I had sometimes a little bit of a dissociative disorder in emotional terms, all back to emotional childhood trauma. It goes back to that. Later on, I spent over 5 years in family court to be able to be with my children. I, I was a normal person, just, with emotional problems, as most people do have. Um, and this, I'm saying not to get sympathy from you, but to show you that I come from life. I've been there, done it, worn the t-shirt. I've healed myself. I was a domestic abuse victim turned survivor, now happy camper. One can heal oneself with help of others. I mean, I haven't reinvented the wheel. It takes effort, consistent effort daily. 6 days out of 7, I would say, is a good approach. The reason why I'm saying all of this is I can relate. I can relate to any and every person who's got emotional problems. Not that I've had all of them. I mean, I'm not boasting here with what I used to have, but I can relate. And the ability to relate adds a lot to empathy, which I have as well. I am an empathic person. The ability to relate can be explained. I give you an analogy here. Um, let's say it's the difference between knowing about something and knowing something. It already makes sense to you, but let me explain just, let's say China or Shaolin Kung Fu. Florian, I know about China. I know about Shaolin Kung Fu. I do not know China. I've never been there, so I cannot say that I know it. I do not know Shaolin Kung Fu. I've never done it. Well, I've done a bit of boxing and kicking, yeah, when I was younger. So that's the difference between knowing something and knowing about something. People, most people, or many people, the vast majority, when they know about things, well, it actually applies to everybody, they give opinions. We give opinions. We have opinions about this and that and this and that. That's when we know about things. We can really know things only when we've been there, done it, and then we're able to give advice. Now, in here, there are two camps of therapists, counselors, life coaches, and so on and so forth. There are the ones that come from books. I mean, we've all lived our lives, but how many of us are truly aware of everything? Well, not everything, but of the problems that we are, or the issues that we are trying to help others with, and have actually used the techniques and the approaches on and by themselves, also on a personal level. Now, I have. I'm not saying this to boast. I just want to get your trust here. Join my Facebook group if you like. The name of which escapes me at the moment. Understanding and Mastering Emotions. Yes, you'll see my picture, so you will see it. I can post it underneath as well. Understanding and Mastering Emotions. I give away, more information there. Right, and there's a community. Cool. Coming back to knowing something and knowing about something. Some of you, the one or other, might have thought by now, oh, I already know this. I've already heard this. Now, this is what some people call the battle cry of failure. I'm not judging. I've been there, done it, won the t-shirt, and I know what it feels like. But it's like a really cool moment when it slips out. Oh, I already know that. Oh, I know that. And then, oops, I've done it. The reason why I'm saying this is I already know that comes from intellectual understanding. Now, what is that? Intellectual understanding is the first level of a model. It's just a model. There are three levels. Obviously, there's a continuum, and these different levels, and so it's just a way of how we make sense of the world and model the world. So the intellectual understanding is the basic understanding. It is, excuse me, it is important. Give you an example. When I got into a relationship with a person who, I have to be careful what I'm saying here. Well, as a result of this relationship, my doctor and also another organization, I became certified domestic abuse victim. Right. And when we started in this relationship, I didn't have the sophistication, I didn't have the knowledge, I didn't have the understanding really to also theoretically grasp what was actually happening. I very soon, very quick, I understood that she was a taker. I called it a taker. Well, a selfish person. Me, 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 me. Then I realized that she was a cheat, also betrayal, outright betrayal, a liar. And then later on, when I did the research, books, articles. I was an academic. I spent over 10 years at university. I have a PhD, not a medical PhD, so I cannot call myself a doctor here. That would be misleading. But reading and understanding psychology is not difficult for me. And I'm not a genius. Yeah, I'm not showing off. So, and then later on, I found out that what she was doing was called gaslighting. That there was something like emotional blackmail, that there was something called ghosting, DARVO, the DARVO technique, which certain people use. You know, it's an acronym. It stands for defense, attack, and the reversal of the victim and DARVO. Victim, what's the O for again? Offender, let's say. Right, that was developed about 30 years ago by a psychologist in, I think, in America. I'm saying these things only that the first level of understanding, the intellectual understanding, is only a first level, and in itself, it does not affect real change in terms of self-mastery, like emotional self-mastery, for example, mastery of one's life. Because we can collect knowledge. It's like we do it here in the West, not only in the West. You know, so many courses, so many books, so many this and that. I mean, I had chemistry at school, and I also did 1 year of engineering. It didn't help me with my life at all, learning all these things about chemistry. I've forgotten them. So there's knowledge mastery versus self-mastery. Right. The first part is still the first level of understanding is still important so that we get actually an understanding and so, you know, a certain sophistication so that we understand what is happening to us in our lives. Why am I stressed? Why am I feeling like this? Why am I so confused? Why one moment in my life, I just couldn't feel, I just looked at myself and said, what, is that me? You know, like a dissociation from myself. Where does that come from? Childhood trauma, in my case. Cool. The second level of understanding, and this is where it becomes really interesting and has to do something also with the title that I give my program, my approach, emotional self-mastery. The second level of understanding is the emotional understanding. It's what many people already say and know in this world that EQ, like emotional intelligence, is actually way more important than IQ, like mere cognitive intelligence. Now, if there is among you, let's say, a rocket engineer or another type of engineer or whatever your profession is, you know, I'm not knocking your professional knowledge. I mean, we have evolved, we have developed quite a bit, you know, over the past 10,000 years. You know, first came the wheel, and now we are flying to Mars and beyond quite a bit. Do the rockets to Mars make me a better person? No, they don't. But also professional, knowledge mastery has its uses, purposes. I'm not knocking it. However, for our own lives, self-mastery, emotional self-mastery, which is my passion. It is my passion. It comes from my heart. It's my whole being because of my life. Emotional understanding is where we start to affect change in ourselves. Now, here's the catch. Our emotions do not last very long. Yes, emotions are chemical compounds. They get dumped into, let's say we have a negative thought, an angry thought. So this triggers the brain. In the brain, it triggers a process of communication between the hypothalamus and other parts. And then we have the adrenal glands, and they release cortisol, stress hormone, into the body, and adrenaline as well, yeah. And we feel stressed, for example, or angry, and then these chemical reactions inside the body release energy. That's what chemical reactions do. This is one of the things I can still remember from my chemistry classes and lessons. So they release energy, and this is what we feel. Right. And on the positive side, on the good side, there are obviously also good emotions like love and bliss, joy, happiness, gratitude. Well, gratitude is not an emotion, strictly speaking, it's a state of mind. So this emotional understanding of something can affect change, but it is only short-lived. Now, I'm going to give you an example here now. Analogies are always good, that of a smoker. This is actually based on a true story, which I heard from my coach. Brilliant man. Most smokers, maybe all smokers, know that smoking is bad for their health. I can talk about this, and I come from a place of non-judgment because I used to smoke for decades. And I always tried to quit. So I was a quitting smoker. A quitting smoker is still a smoker. So and I knew that smoking was bad for you. I mean, when I was a teenager already at school, they educated us. They showed us films. And so what can happen through smoking? You can get cancer. You can get blocked arteries, and whole feet can be amputated. They showed us the photos as well to scare us, to stop us smoking. We did not. Heck, we did. We enjoyed our cigarettes. Well, we thought we enjoyed it. They made me more of a man. I looked more masculine, I thought. Rubbish. Okay. So I know I'm not being judgmental here with the smoking. Right. Smokers know they should not smoke. It's unhealthy. Do they stop? No, many don't. However, here is a story that I was told. Authentic. A man was rushed into a hospital, a smoker, a dad, was smoked, he nearly got smoked, yes. He was rushed into hospital, and with a case of, I think it was acute bronchitis. I'm mixing this up, but it was a case of bronchitis. And the doctors told him that he could have nearly handed in the spoon, which is a German expression for passing on, dying, and that he really should stop smoking because next time he might not survive it. Right. I might be embellishing the story a little bit, who knows? So the man stopped smoking. Why does he stop smoking? Because he already knew intellectually that smoking was bad for him. But this was the day when he got scared for his life. And this was the emotion, this was the emotional understanding. And he stopped smoking, threw away the cigarettes. A day later, or whenever later, he went back home, still not smoking. A few more days, he lost it. Craving came. The fear had receded. The memory of this incident being rushed into hospital also faded. His mates asked him, "Oh, do you want to come out again? Are you feeling good?" And he went out with them. Maybe the first evening he didn't smoke yet. Second evening, the first cold beer, so delicious. And all of his mates smoking. And the habit kicked in. You know, it's a pattern, it's a habit. Habits are so super strong. And so he had his first cigarette again. A couple of weeks later, one of his friends, that was actually my life coach, he visited him and he saw him smoking again. And this is just the case of emotional understanding not going further. His emotional understanding, his scare, his fear of death made him stop, and then he started again. So when he was not smoking for a few days or a week or two, he was what we call a quitting smoker. Now, I don't want to draw this out too long. The next level of understanding, the highest understanding, in terms of self-mastery, of life mastery, emotional self-mastery, is when we have an understanding, an identity shift, basically. No, literally. It's the understanding with our whole being, with our identity. Now, this man, or it may have been another example now, walks out onto the, let's say, into the garden back of the house. I mean, he was good enough not to smoke inside the house. Lights a cigarette. His daughter sees it. His 10-year-old daughter sees it. She runs up to him and says, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy, you promised not to smoke anymore. Don't you remember when the ambulance came? I was so scared. I was scared to death, Daddy." And he looks at her and really, gosh, what am I doing here? He's feeling guilty. Guilt is a powerful emotion, yeah, a negative one, but a powerful one. And she says to him, "Daddy, please, you know, when I get married, I want you to walk me down the aisle. I want you to be there." She just watched some Hollywood film and she is has her romantic dreams. And so she cries and she runs back into the house and slams the door behind her. And her dad, the still smoker, is shell-shocked. Now, he stops smoking now. Why? How does this happen? His identity as a loving dad, his role, his father role, all of this, his identity, displaces his identity as a smoker. Everything comes together. His intellectual understanding, level 1, he knows smoking is bad and can kill him. His scare of death, which he had when he was rushed into the hospital, he thinks, gosh, plus his love for his daughter, they all conspire together to become this identity shift or start this identity shift. And he stopped smoking. And that's it. Now, personally, I mean, so you understand this level, not this level, you understand this model, the 3 levels of understanding. Intellectual, which cannot be knocked. It's a necessary thing, you know. If you want to do your job properly, you need to know things. And it's good to know that smoking or other things are bad. That's first level. It alone does not affect change for our lives and ourselves. The emotional understanding then, the fear of death, for example, for the smoker, is what affects some change, but it doesn't last because these emotions, emotional, they don't last forever. Unless, for example, just on the side, negative self-talk, yeah, these recurring patterns. I suffered from that for years, can all be taken away. Just let go. There are techniques. And then the final level, which is the understanding on a whole with your identity, with yourself. All right. Okay, so that was that. And I got there just to remind you because of the battle cry of failure. Yeah, I already know this. A person who knows something intellectually can be inclined to say, I already know this. I've already heard this before, and brush it off. Now, this is a true indicator of mere, I'm saying now, mere intellectual understanding. Yeah, I already know this. But one hasn't taken it on an identity level, right? So the war cry of failure, battle cry of failure, I already know this. A person who has emotional and intellectual, emotional, and this identity understanding, let's say a person like Mahatma Gandhi, like Nelson Mandela, like, well, Jesus Christ, Buddha, Krishna, you know, the main figures, or if you're Muslim like Muhammad, high level high conscious level individuals, you know, the top of the pop, they would not brush things off and say, or would not have, because, you know, they lived in the past. They would not have brush, or Mother Teresa, just to mention a woman as well here, yes. Nina Simone, maybe not on a level with Mother Teresa, but very high level individual in terms of consciousness. They would not, people like that would not say, oh, I already know that, you know, brush it off and, you know, in passing. They would, even if they knew it already, and those people knew a lot about life, they would understand and let it sink in, let it sink in again. Give you the rule of 50 here. That's another good way of explaining things and also understanding things. My coach told me that actually. I don't know if it was about himself because he's a public speaker as well, an entrepreneur. I think he presented it as if it had happened to himself when he was younger. He just started public speaking. His name is Peter Sage. And before he had to go on stage, he became nervous, which is quite normal, isn't it? And he got into a conversation with a more seasoned, more experienced public speaker, and he said to him, look, what if I go there and I don't reach anybody? You know, what if nobody, you know, if I can't affect any change in anybody really? And this guy, the other guy, apparently told him about the rule of 50. I mean, it's a little bit of a made-up rule, the number 50. It can also be called the rule of 20 or so. It depends on the person. But he said, you know what? It's like this. People need to hear something new 50 times before they really get going and do something about it. Now, tonight, you're going to go out on stage and speak to 1,000 people. And if you reach only one or two of them, those who have heard it now for the 50th time, and they, after this event, they go home and they start making changes, positive changes to their lives, then you will have done your job. However, all the other people, the other 998 people, let's say, you will be doing your job with them as well. Because even if they haven't heard it 50 times yet, you will have added one on. And if they come to a similar talk next week, next month, maybe listening to you again, you will add the next instance of them hearing about it, of them deepening their intellectual knowledge. And then comes the time when the next one will be ready to affect real changes in their lives. Now, that's the thing, and that's the same thing with you here listening to me. Maybe this is your 50th time. I mean, it's just a number 50, yeah. Maybe it's your 10th time. Some people might only need twice, you know, two times listening or hearing something. It's just another analogy, yes? Right. Okay, so we've talked about the battle cry of failure, the 3 levels of understanding. I've put them into context, and about the rule of the 50. I was going to talk about, no, I'm not going to do that today because I think time is running out and I don't want to bore you. I don't want to make this too long. I will give more information regarding this, regarding life and how to approach life in further videos. I will also include then some techniques, therapeutic techniques, which can help you with stress, anxiety, and other things. And I wish you a great day. I hope that wasn't too long for you. Certainly wasn't too long for me. I enjoyed myself talking to you, and I hope you get the best out of it. If you think there was anything useful in this video here, please like, subscribe, comment, or share even. I'm here to serve. I have also my Facebook group, which starts with understanding and mastering emotions. If you would like to join there, I give away free at the moment, a few free strategy calls as well. Come on and join the revolution or evolution. You have a great day. Please like and subscribe and comment. Have a great day. My name is Florian, and I love to serve. Bye bye.